So in this presentation, we're talking about the lead has already been generated. So you have your qualified lead ready. You have your time when you're going to be getting together with the client, and you need to be prepared. So before you go on that appointment, you want to make sure that you have everything that you will possibly need to close that prospect on that appointment. Now, if it's a 2 or 3 visit appointment, we're talking about the last appointment when we talk about the close. So on a 1-call close, it's on that first visit. 2-call close where you have a go back, that would be on the 2nd call, and on a 3-call visit, because you needed to make plans and drawings and all of that and make changes, that would be on the 3rd call. So when we talk about the closing call, we're always talking about the appointment where you're going to have everything in front of the prospect so that they are able to pick up a pen, sign an agreement, because they were able to make an educated decision. So, how do you get prepared for your appointment? Well, that's really a good question. You have paperwork, you have demo equipment, you have information that you might need to give them or be able to go through a cut sheet with them while you're together. All of these props need to look sharp, and you're included in those props. Shave, smell good, brush your teeth, all the things that you need to do to be presentable. That makes an incredible difference on the way you come across to the prospect. And I must say, I don't know how things got so casual, but I would dress much more in a jacket and slacks at least, so that you separate yourself from the vast majority of people, because we're already going to set ourselves up as a very different kind of company. So now we're ready to go in and we're ready to see the prospect and we're ready for our appointment. We have everything in place that we're going to need to be able to close. Now, just before you get on with the client, either going into their place of business or their home, or getting on a Zoom call or getting on the phone call, what you want to do is you want to take a moment and you want to visualize the client picking up the pen, signing the agreement, and going ahead with your solution for their problem. You want to visualize that. And I'm going to share with you why very quickly. I learned that from an interview that I heard with Michael Jordan, where he was asked about how he was able to make a foul shot with his eyes closed. They caught a picture of him with his eyes closed shooting a foul shot. And his response was visualization, preparation, and concentration. So you visualize what you're going to do, you prepare for what you're going to do, and then you concentrate on that preparation, and it should become automatic. Well, sales is the same way. You need to visualize the outcome before you get started so that you have your goal that you're striving towards every time. And if you know every time what it takes to get the prospect to pick up the pen and make the agreement with you, then you will get systematic on how to get to that point of the presentation, thereby increasing your closing percentages. I often ask it like this: Do you think the matinee show and the evening show of a play or a Broadway show, do you think that they do it lighter and easier at the daytime matinee and slack off compared to the nighttime show? Of course not. As a matter of fact, if you recorded both shows, you wouldn't be able to tell one from the other. That's the way you need to be prepared and polished, and that way you're actually able to visualize the outcome that you're striving for. So you really, really need to be 100% ready and polished to go in and then visualize that outcome, and that will help to increase your closing percentages. So now you go in, and in today's age, it's a little bit different how you introduce yourself. In the old days, last year, we used to shake hands, and psychologically, that has a big advantage. Today, people don't want to do that. So we're going to have to make up for that in our presentation to make the client more comfortable with us, because we didn't get that chance at that great handshake at the very beginning. Now, eye contact is essential. That's on Zoom, that's on anything. You try to maintain eye contact with the prospect, whether in person or on a video conference, as much as possible. It shows your confidence in what you're doing. If you're shifty, you have to look around. Now, everybody gets distracted by something or another. So if you look away every once in a while, it's not that important. But if you're always looking away, people are going to think you're shifty and don't know what you're doing. So being in control, using eye contact is extremely important. Another trick at the beginning is something called mirroring. Whatever action the client takes in front of you, you physically duplicate that. If they scratch their cheek, you scratch your cheek. If they shift in their chair, shortly after, you shift in your chair. Whatever they're doing, you do. After several minutes of this, you start making actions, and you will notice that they will start to make those actions as well. It's a great idea for getting people into physical sync with you. It's called mirroring. Another thing I want to point out just at the very beginning is something called modeling. There are superstars in your organization that are closing at a much higher ratio than you are. You want to learn to model them. Whatever it is that they are doing, you want to make sure that you spend time with them and you learn what they are doing to be more successful. Modeling is also something you can do if you're new in your business. You can model the competition. It's called opposition research in common vernacular, where you learn everything about the competition and you use that in your presentation as well. So modeling is extremely important to help you over the course of your particular career, to help you fill in the blanks of some things that you might be able to add that others that are successful have been successful with. So those were just some quick tips. So now you have eye contact with the client. You're either in person, over the phone, or on Zoom, and you're going to get ready for your presentation start. Now at this point, if you put yourself in the position of the prospect, that prospect immediately expects now the selling will begin. And you would think that's probably true because that's how most representatives handle it. They go right into business. Now, I'm in the business of disarming the prospect, making them comfortable with me, and off of being comfortable with me and my company, them making the decision to do business with me and my company. So that's extremely important in this next step. So how are we going to disarm them? They're expecting you start selling. What you're going to do is you're going to talk about things that have absolutely nothing to do with business. Now, if you're in person, you're going to want to talk about different items around the room, things that you see that are family, things that you see that are hobbies, all of those things. Now, I know you're saying, Glenn, this is fundamental, the warm-up. It's simple. You're getting comfortable with them. You're getting in sync with them. Okay, you're exactly right. But here's the big question. How do you know when the client is comfortable and ready to start talking business with you? Now, I would venture to guess you're giving an answer now. Oh, if they do this, if the shoulders go down, if they're mirroring you back, you could think of lots of different things. But there's really only one true way, because we're not psychologists or analysts and can tell the psychology of another person. So there is one true way that will always work. Don't talk about business until they bring up that they want to talk about business. Fundamental rule. The warm-up should not end because you, the representative, say it ends. If you have a client that's talking about whatever with you and they'll continue talking about it, they are making themselves comfortable with you. Why would you ever want to end that and say, oh, I have the business I want to discuss with you? You wouldn't want to do that, even if you had another appointment, because the appointment that you're in is the only one that matters. The next one might be a no-show. So the people you are with are the only ones you're going to focus on. And the way to focus on them and to make them relax with you is to talk about anything having to do with anything else but business that they're interested in and that you can carry on a conversation about until they bring up the fact that they want to talk about business. And at that moment, what you'll say to them is this: I was having such a wonderful time, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that I kind of lost track of time. You're absolutely right. We do have things to talk about. I really appreciate the great conversation. Now, before we get started, let me just ask you to do me one favor, if you wouldn't mind. I take what I do very seriously. I educated myself well on the product and service. I constantly am getting new education, so I'm upgrading my understanding of the benefits of our solution for the pain that you may be feeling. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be very specific. I'm going to go through all the details. And what I ask you to do is to give me all the questions that you may have, because I'm sure you would agree an educated decision is the absolute best decision. Wouldn't you agree? So ask me all the questions that you have. Let's clarify everything that we can, and that way you'll be able to make an educated decision. Now, one thing I want to ask before we get started is, did you check out the company so that you know that we're reputable? Oh, you didn't? Well, let me show you all of our credibility tools that we have. Now, obviously, you're not going to call them credibility tools, but these would be things like ratings and reviews on Google, which you're definitely going to want to get your clients to do. This would be a website that shows all the jobs that you have. This might be a geographical app that shows where your jobs are in a general area so that it gives you more location authority. This is your license, bonding, and insurance. These are all the things that make you a good, credible company. These all must come out at the beginning, because after showing them all these things, you're going to want to be able to ask them this extremely important question, and that is this: Mr. and Mrs. Smith, are we the kind of company that you like to do business with? And because of all of your credibility tools, they will be able to say, yes, you are the kind of company that we like to do business with. They're not answering you're the company, but you're the kind of company. When you get to the end and you have the objection that we have 3 other appointments and we can't close tonight, being able to fall back on being the kind of company they like to do business with, I'm going to show you how to close so many more leads where that is the stall. And I know that happens in the days of today, where we're getting internet generated leads and lots of companies are buying them. So we must get them to that point that we are the kind of company that they like to do business with. And then one more thing that I would ask you, a favor I would ask, is because I take this seriously and we're going to clarify everything, and now you can see that we're a credible company and we're the kind of company you like to do business with. If you like what I show you at the end and it relieves your solution or your pain, and it's a good investment for that, relieving those pains and solutions, I want you to tell me, yes, Glenn, let's move ahead. If for any reason it doesn't work out for you and it's not going to be right for helping you as a solution for your pain or problem, just tell me, Glenn, no, this doesn't work out for me. So at the end, if you like it, say yes. If you don't like it, say no. Fair enough? What you just did is you got a solid agreement that as long as you can show them why your solution can alleviate their pain for a reasonable investment, they should say yes. And if it doesn't work for them, they should say no. Now, a lot of people say, Glenn, you just gave them an opportunity to get out of whatever it is that you were trying to sell them by just saying no. Well, here's a really big factor that you have to think about. I believe that there's 2 types of people in the world: leaders and followers. With leaders, you're right. If they don't like it, they're just going to say no. But they're at maximum a handful of the percentage of people. 95% or more people are followers by nature. And followers have a very difficult time saying the word no. Count on that. They'll say, I need to think about it. I need to check something else out. They'll give very light objections, not circumstances, just objections that you can overcome. And as long as you gave them the feeling that they could say no and get out of it, you just put them even in a more relaxed position. Because if I don't like it, I can say no. And Glenn said, then we'll part as friends. So it's a great psychological tool to use so that you get a great commitment at the very beginning. Okay, folks, thank you very much. So just to make sure that we are on the same page and that what I'm going to present you will be what you need to help you specifically with the solution for your problem, I'd like to ask you a few questions so that we can clarify exactly what it is that you're looking to accomplish. Okay, so now in the description for the video, there's another link, and that's going to take you to the next section where we're going to get into questioning to clarity. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Click that link. We'll talk to you in a minute. Peace.